dig him, some people dig parts of him, some people are crossing their fingers and praying to whatever god they worship that he does things right and doesn't screw everything up. I am not really in any of the above camps. I just kind of take each situation as it is. And there's one particular situation that I'm actually enjoying. That's his treatment of the press.
You are fake news.
Now, as some of you can tell, I have respect for Ben Shapiro, and he had recently put out an article that said, Trump calls the press an enemy of the American people, and no president should do that. Now, I think Ben's a great writer, but everybody has to screw up every now and again, and I think he kind of screwed up with his article. There's a tweet here that's screenshotted from a Kyle Griffin that says, the fake news media, failing New York Times, CNN, NBC News, and many more, is not my enemy, it is the enemy of the American people. Sick. And then this Kyle Griffin fellow says that Trump is saying that all of the media is the enemy of the American people. Now wait a minute. Trump just mentioned 3 leftist institutions, 3 networks that might as well be an arm of the Democratic Party. And I'm supposed to take that as all of the media? Well, I'm reading the Daily Wire, which is a right-wing website, and he didn't mention Fox News. He's not talking about the media as a whole. He's talking about specific networks. He has a beef with the New York Times, the CNN, NBC News. He's got a beef with the Wall Street Journal and several others. When it comes down to it, Donald Trump is the kind of guy that likes to shoot from the hip, it seems. And that's part of what people like about him, is he's finally saying the things that a lot of people have wanted to say for a long time. Or that people that we've been listening to, like Shapiro and maybe Milo Yiannopoulos or Steven Crowder or Mark Levin or Dennis Prager or, name a conservative pundit. What they've been saying for years is that the mass media, in a lot of ways, like the Huffington Post, Media Matters, CNN, NBC, so on and so forth, for better or worse, are an arm of the Democratic Party. There are, of course, conservative outlets, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and act like the Democratic Party doesn't have a direct influence over the media. They consistently do it to craft narratives, and it's honestly sickening. And beyond that, it's incredibly unethical. Think about Benghazi for a second. Of all the networks and websites out there, which were the ones that bought the YouTube video narrative? The left-leaning ones. Now, we all knew it was BS. Because something about that just wasn't right. It didn't pass the sniff test. Okay? And yet, that lie was perpetuated. Why? Because they were able to delay it long enough, it didn't become a big enough factor in the 2012 election. Though I would think that it's part of the reason that so many people were disgusted by Hillary Clinton once her now failed attempt at gaining the presidency came about. Because, of course, laws are for poor people. Also, think about this. The Democratic media, as Andrew Breitbart liked to call it, consistently put out people like Melissa Harris Perry, who consistently acted like anyone who disagreed with her was a racist. You've got Martin Bashir, who said some pretty nasty stuff about Sarah Palin that was completely and totally unwarranted. And we have multiple other people that have been anchors on these networks that have flat out said that if you disagree with Democrats, you're a sexist, racist, bigot, and homophobe. And we had it for 8 years. Why would any American not get happy when the President of the United States, the person that we elected to be our representative in the executive branch of the United States government, when he tells it like it is, why wouldn't we celebrate it? What is there to be angry about here? Now, Bernie Sanders got on Twitter and said, in Trump's view, people should ignore all the news except what comes directly from him. That is what totalitarianism is all about. I mean, I genuinely wonder if Bernie Sanders also owns 3 glass houses to throw stones out of. But what Trump is doing is being honest about the media in general. When Obama was the president, the media was lining up to hand out blowjobs to the guy. Now that a Republican's in office, they've each got a noose ready to lynch the man. There's a double standard here, and it needs to be called out for the insanity that it is. And if the man in charge is doing it, more power to him.
You are fake news.
My name is Micah Curtis. I'll see you next time.